everybody, my name is Mars, you can call me MG if you'd like, and today I am starting the second draft of my current writing project. You will hear me refer to this as a few different things. Most often I just call it Whimsy, but Whimsy is technically the duology, and it's also not even like the actual title, it's just what I've been calling it. I'm specifically working on book 1 of this duology, so you might hear me refer to it as Whimsy or Whimsy Book 1. You might hear me call it CC, which is the acronym for the title. It's all the same thing. It is my fantasy romance project that I've been working on for several months now. I have just finished re-outlining it. So last year, 2025, is when I kind of conceptualized the whole thing. I did an outline, and then I did a draft, and then this beginning of this year, I re-outlined it because I kind of figured out why the first draft wasn't working, and the main crux of the issue is really things were happening way too late in the book. So I did move up several of the different reveals and twists and everything to come earlier, and I feel like it fits a lot better. I also kind of slimmed things down because this is a dual POV series. We have my two main characters, Ainsel and Gilfire, and the chapters alternate between their POVs. And it was just a lot of things being split up when they didn't have to be. So for example, in my first draft, it would be Ainsel's first chapter, then Gilfire's first chapter, then Ainsel's second chapter, then Gilfire's second chapter. But there wasn't really a reason for things to be split that way. Like, the things that happened in the first two chapters from Ainsel's POV could have been one chapter. The first two chapters from Gilfire's POV could have been one chapter. So I did do a little bit of finagling there too, and I do think if my draft really does follow this outline, because that's another issue, is that I am not the best at following my outlines. They're guidelines more than they are strict rules for me, but if I do follow along with this outline, I feel like it will be a much stronger draft than my first one, which kind of is missing the entirety of Act 3. I normally don't write the last couple of chapters in a first draft anyway, just because I drift so far from the outline that I don't really know what's gonna happen. But with the first draft of this project, it genuinely was impossible for me to do Act 3 at all, because Act 2 had just been so different from what I thought it was going to be. So I think I figured it out a lot better now, so I'm going to be actually getting started on this second draft, and hopefully I will be able to have enough faith in this draft that I can send it to some friends to look over and it won't be a complete dumpster fire. I would like to apologize. I live on a pretty busy street, and I feel like right now it's even busier than usual, so there's going to be a lot of sounds of cars going by. I have gotten pretty good at ignoring it. I'm sorry if you are bothered by that, but that's kind of just the reality of my living situation. So yeah, today is the 7th, it is just past 5 p.m. Katie and Wallace are streaming right now, which is fantastic because I really need the motivation and the body doubling to actually get stuff done. My plan had been to start this way earlier in the day, but clearly that did not happen, so I'm very glad that my friends are being helpful, even though this wasn't their intention with going live. But yes, I'm going to get started. I have my new outline open, I have the first draft open, because especially in these beginning sections, it's going to be a lot of copy and paste, and then I have my new draft open, so those 3 tabs plus the stream. My computer is going to be very upset with me because it is old and does not like having that much open at once, but it's fine, we're going to make it work, and I'm going to just see how much work I can get done today. I don't have any goals for how much I want to get done today or in this vlog in general. I feel like this vlog might just be today and tomorrow, because the next day I go back to work, but I mean, I'm still going to be doing my writing on days that I work, so I might extend this vlog a little bit further until I get to a good stopping point in the draft. We're just gonna wing it and see how it goes. But now I am going to actually do some writing instead of continuing to babble on, and I will give you an update when I feel like I've got a good one for you. It is now 6:20 p.m. and I am getting hungry, so I think it's a good time to break for dinner. I also should feed my cats. They usually get fed around 7, but I can give them dinner a little bit early. I know Gremlin especially will appreciate that. She is a fiend for food, very food motivated. Anyway, I have done about 30 minutes of work. I do have a stopwatch going because I am timing myself for the first quarter to hit a goal. I didn't want to set like a goal of like get this many words done in a project or anything like that for the first quarter. I wanted to just set a goal that will make it so that I am constantly working on something related to writing, but I didn't want to like box myself in with which project I wanted to do or anything like that. So my goal for the first quarter is 60 hours of writing total across any projects that I want to work on, with the asterisk that if I do start working on a project, I have to do at least 10 hours on that project to actually get some solid work done and not just be like, oh, I'm going to work on this for a day and then never touch it again for 6 months, you know? So I've done about 30 minutes of work today so far, and I've edited through about 2.5 to 3-ish pages of this first chapter, and I think I'm about like a third of the way through this chapter, I hope, because my outline is 31 chapters long, which means if I want this draft to be about 100,000 words, my chapters are going to be about 3,000 to 3,200 words each. And that is about how long my chapters usually are. I mean, I do have variable chapter lengths, but that's usually what they average out to be. So I think that is very good for that math to work out like that. But I really won't know until I get through the dang draft. So, yeah, I'm about a third of the way through the content of the chapter. We'll see how many words it actually takes for me to get that done. But yeah, I'm going to go get some dinner. I think I'm just gonna make some soup. Got some creamy chicken noodle calling my name. And then I will come back and do more work in a little bit. Okay, friends, I have not finished my chapter. I'm about 2/3 of the way through it, but I am tapping out for the night. I just got hit with like a wave of exhaustion. I'm so tired. So I think what I'm gonna do for the rest of the night is I'm gonna pop on the PWHL game. I think that it is Seattle versus Boston tonight. Neither are teams that I support, but it'll be nice to have on in the background. And I'm going to do a little bit of reading. I will be reading, I haven't started yet. It is a craft book called Craft in the Real World, and it is about writing specifically in terms of like workshopping and like the communal aspect of writing, and how the traditional sense of it is not like beneficial in the current state of the writing world, something like that. That's the vibe that I got from the what is it called, blurb. That's the word I was looking for. So I am very intrigued by this. It's not a topic that I've really read about before, and it's also quite short. My ebook is just under 300 pages, so I'm intrigued as to how this is gonna go. I will give you an update on that as I read, I suppose, because it is kind of applicable to this as a writing vlog. So yeah, that's pretty much how I'm gonna spend the rest of my night. I'm gonna try and get to work earlier tomorrow than I did today, just so I can actually get more done. So I will see you after I've had a good night's rest. Good morning, friends. It is 10 a.m. I have my breakfast here. It's just a bowl of oatmeal, nothing fancy. I just wanted to come here and update you real quick while I remembered that I was doing this vlog. I know that I said I was not going to set any goals for what I wanted to get done during this vlog, but I think I'm going to set a goal for today. Of course, there's a plane going by. That's very rude of them. But my goal for today is to finish editing chapter 1 and to edit chapter 2. Ideally, I want to finish the whole setup block, which would be the first 3 chapters. If you are curious, I am going to be making a video on how I re-outlined my book because I did it in a very different way from what I normally see people doing when they re-outline. That video might actually be out before this vlog, but I don't know. We'll see how things end up happening, but I have it split up into different like blocks, and then the blocks are broken down into chapters. So like main goal, edit up to chapter 2, but like finish chapter 1 and do chapter 2 by the end of the day. Stretch goal, also do chapter 3 so that I have finished the first block. But Stieg is streaming at 1 p.m. So a few hours from now. I'm going to try and get everything non-writing related done before then. And if I can also do a little bit of writing before the stream, that would be sick, but it's no biggie if I don't. I did not start writing early like I wanted to, but it will still be earlier than I did yesterday, because yesterday I didn't start writing until 5 p.m. This time 1 p.m. or slightly earlier. Fantastic. First though, I'm going to get this oatmeal eaten, and I'm going to do a little bit more reading. I did read about a quarter of Craft in the Real World last night, but I feel like my head was starting to hurt. I was very tired. I was not really taking in the information as well as I probably could have been. So I'm going to get back into that and do a little bit more reading, probably finish the first section, and then talk to you guys about how I feel about it. So yeah, I'll see you in a little while. Hello friends, it is nearing 4:30 in the afternoon and I have not updated you all day. Basically, I have just been in bed all day. I was writing, I took my laptop with me, and a little bit before Stieg's stream and also during it, I was working on my draft of Whimsy, and I finished chapter 1, and now I'm about somewhere between a third to halfway through chapter 2. Chapter 2 and chapter 1 are very similar in that the big chunk of the chapter is copy and paste, but from 2 different chapters each that I have to combine, and then I have to write a little bit to meld them together, if that makes sense. So I have not finished chapter 2 yet, but I will be doing that later on today. I also did more reading of Craft in the Real World, and it is fascinating. I really feel like I'm walking away with a lot of things to keep in mind. It's not mind-blowing by any means, but it is giving me a lot to consider, especially in this stage of editing my book. I've read the first part, which is called Fiction in the Real World, and it talks a lot about how literature is often kind of removed from the context and the culture and the expectations that it came from when it shouldn't be, especially in a workshop or editing setting. They want to they hate using that as a vague term, but people want to take these stories out and kind of deal with them in a vacuum when that doesn't really exist and shouldn't exist in that way. And there's a section that I really liked where it was basically redefining terms that we use for writing, like pacing and plot and character arc and setting and all of that, to kind of just look at them in a different way. And I thought that was very interesting and stuff that I will definitely be keeping in mind as I'm editing my book. The second half is called Workshop in the Real World, or Workshopping in the Real World, so it specifically deals with giving your writing to other people and accepting other people's writing to look at and critique. So, coming from a background of going to college for creative writing, I have extensive experience in workshopping, so I'm very intrigued to see what I can learn from this second half of the book. So I'll definitely be doing more reading today, and I will be doing more writing because I do want to finish chapter 2 of my book. But for now, my electronics are dying. My laptop is already dead. My phone is on like 20% as I'm filming this update. So I gotta plug everything in and get it charged before I can do any more work. So I'm going to go do some chores, probably eat dinner soon, that sort of thing. And then I will come back and do more work this evening and give you an update tonight on how much more I am able to get done. Okay, friends, I apologize for this terrible lighting. I feel like it makes me look very gray, which is odd, but it is 7:30 p.m. and I'm here to close out the vlog because I finished chapter 2. I didn't end up reaching my stretch goal of also doing chapter 3 today, but I finished chapter 2 and I'm very happy with it. I didn't make as many changes to chapter 2 as I did to chapter 1. I feel like the bits that I was combining and putting into chapter 2 worked well together as it already was written, so it was just a little bit of tweaking, whereas in chapter 1 I completely changed like the location of one of the moments. I had something, I don't know why I'm like trying to be very vague about this. It's literally chapter 1. I feel like it's not spoilers. My character is taking the trolley across the city to go to work, and I had something interrupt that trolley experience to inject a little bit more tension. Doesn't feel like the right word for this, but like just to give the scene a little bit extra something. So like I had to write that from scratch, stuff like that. But the second chapter, the first one from Galefire's point of view, didn't need as much work as Ansel's first chapter did. So, very proud of that. But the second thing that I've done is finish reading Craft in the Real World. This second part, which was Workshop in the Real World, wasn't, to me at least, as beneficial as the first half was. It did focus a lot on things for professors and other people who might be running writing workshops, which I am not that person, so I didn't find those pieces particularly interesting or helpful, but there was a chapter that was titled like 34 revision practices or something along those lines, and I was definitely taking notes there. I took down a list of things that I want to keep in mind as I am doing these revisions, and I also took down a list of things that I want to like kind of ask my beta readers when I finish this draft and hand it out to them for them to keep an eye on. So I do think that section was probably the most beneficial out of this entire craft book. This is one that I definitely can see myself rereading in the future, so I'm very happy to have stumbled upon it. But yeah, that was a very successful 2 days of me getting into this new draft, I feel. So thank you for coming along with me. If you've enjoyed this vlog, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.